And today I'm super happy to have with me Sarah Attia from Somadome to talk about WellTech and Somadome, which is a great product for meditation, mindfulness. But I think Sarah will do a much better job than me to describe the product. Sarah, thank you so much for being here. Can you please introduce yourself and introduce Somadome, please?
Oh, thank you, Celine. I'm really grateful to be here too. Somadome is basically it's a meditation pod, but we sort of call it a meditation pod, but it's so much more than that. It's really a space for someone to connect deep within. And it does different types of things. It incorporates different modalities, which I'm sure we can get into. But the goal of the Somadome is really to provide the space for someone to connect to self. That's essentially the essence of it. And it's designed to be in any environment, really. And we have domes in almost every vertical. I'm the founder and CEO.
Great. And so how did Somadome came to life? How did it started?
It's funny, actually. It's wild. It came in a dream.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I have no idea why. And I definitely can't claim ownership to the idea because I feel really truly in my heart like it was, when we have any ideas, I think really of creativity or something that is new, it doesn't really come from us, right? It comes,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
it comes through us.
Yeah.
And I had this dream, and it was a long time ago, actually. I was really young. It was like 25 years ago. And I woke up and I was still in school. I had no idea, I just saw a space, basically. It was like, I can't explain it, but I had chills all over my entire body. And I jumped out of bed, and it was like all that came in the dream was that there needed to be a space for people in the world where we move through life, so that we can escape the chaos and escape all of the things that clutter our brains and create, a lot of the stress that we carry, and give us the opportunity to really go within and quiet that noise and connect to our inner, being, and find our truth, really. And that without that, access point, as we move through life, it can just be so difficult, really. And where are we going to go? And so for me, it became sort of like my mantra. And for 20 years, I didn't know what to do really like 15, actually, because 10 years ago I started the company. So for a long time I was like, well, how am I going to do this, and what will it look like? And I don't know, what I'm doing, and I don't know how to make it. And it was just really hard. And I tried to make a couple prototypes, but it was sort of ridiculous. They looked horrible. I didn't know anything about design. And and then so I put it away, and I ended up doing a bunch of other things, and sort of went down a different path, and hoped that maybe the vision for the dome would just sort of kind of die away, because it was too big, and I just felt too burdened in a way by it. But it didn't. It just got bigger. And like, I ended up feeling like, oh my gosh, like this is, the concept of Dharma.
Yeah. This is your
Yeah.
Dharma. Yeah.
Yes. And it just felt like if I don't do this, I'm like living a lie or something. I felt like, somehow I was not fulfilling my destiny.
Yeah.
Not my destiny, but like this needed to be in the world. And I was somehow like not honoring, this duty. And so I was actually practicing law. I ended up going into social justice law. And anyway, I was just, long story, but I just realized,
Different
gosh, if I
path.
did it's totally different path. But then I thought, the system is never going to change. It's just a really broken system. But the dome, I felt like this is a vehicle to help people. And so what if we could get them, into environments like schools with at-risk youth, and even in rehabilitation centers with inmates, and in rehab clinics. And this is not the social mainstream application, of course, but this is my thinking in terms of where I was positioned in criminal law and social justice, and thinking I'm never going to make an impact, in this broken system. And then on top of that, I felt like I had this mission. So I just, about 10 years ago, I just fell to my knees one day, basically. It was a really powerful moment. And I just said, okay, universe, I'm going to do it. I'll do whatever it takes, but you have to bring the people and bring the resources and, the talent, because and that's sort of what's happened. It's really been just a magical, really journey. It's kind of incredible what's happened. So
that's a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing it. That's this is very beautiful, a beautiful story. And it's funny sometimes how like how life unfolds, and you have this idea, but at the moment you don't have the tools to act on it. And then like along the way you get some tools, and then you are at the point where you can fulfill that. And now you have like how many location, 100 plus location in 13 countries and 4 continents, right, where you can find a Somadome. Is that correct?
Actually, now we have about 218 countries.
Wow.
And we're really, now we're actually starting to really put the systems in place around our infrastructure so that we can really scale now. So it's been, I sort of feel, 200 is amazing to me. Like, I can't even believe we have one, to be honest, like, because it just felt so impossible for so long. But now I feel like, wow, this is really something. And I feel even more of a mission to sort of bring more. And so I sort of see each dome as a pilot in a sense, because we've been really figuring figuring out what works, figuring out how to, operate, how to perfect the product. We've had a lot of things to figure out around R&D. And so, now we're sort of getting closer to a stage where we can hopefully put some systems in place so we can get, 2,000 domes in the world.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So you touch based on your clients. So who are your clients?
Well, we have. I know you found us at the in a wellness resort.
Yes.
So that's definitely that's where we entered the market, because we really wanted to, anchor the experience as a wellness, experience, which it is. But what's been amazing is that we've had literally interest from almost every kind of type of demographic, every kind of vertical application you can imagine, and every culture. We've had inbound inquiries that we can't support from all over the world, thousands. And the domes that we have in the world are the ones that we've been able to make, but we're backlogged and sort of kind of just now being able to really provide the demand. But so we have domes, and corporate wellness is a big market for us. A lot of companies, big companies, Silicon Valley companies, very progressive companies, also really, Fortune 500, Fortune 50 companies, very progressive, big thinking, but very big companies. So Adobe, Chevron, American Airlines, Humana, Nationwide, that's been an exciting vertical for us. And then lots of homes, a lot of people want them in their homes. Somehow, obviously COVID shifted everything, and we invested, people have been investing now a lot more in wellness, period, but also certainly investing in their homes and making, these sanctuaries more around wellness. And then retail has become an exciting application, which is sort of interesting. And we have a partnership actually with Shiseido, and they've put several domes into their flagship in Tokyo, in Ginza, and they have a whole floor dedicated to the Somadome. And so they take people on a retail journey. And so they start you in the dome, and then you kind of have a sensory, you relax, and then they kind of bring you, rejuvenate, and then they take you shopping.
Oh, great. That's interesting. They put me in the mood. They put you in the mood to then spend. And,
exactly. So it's actually really, it's very funny, because what they told us, and it's amazing actually, they told us that since they put the Somadomes into their retail experience, their sales have gone up 10%.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
Really
Very,
interesting.
yeah. I guess
So
people maybe have more time and maybe they do more mindful shopping. They're more like willing to spend to buy products and but maybe products that are more meaningful rather than just like, well, I guess at Sea Shadow you don't really buy stuff like that, but but yeah, that's an interesting story.
well, it's interesting about Shiseido. Just a quick, comment. They're an incredible brand. They're
Mhm,
175-year-old. 100. I think they're the oldest. One of the oldest, if not the oldest, beauty brands and
mhm,
in the world, and the largest. And they have an initiative that they've been going through a rebrand the past couple of years, where they're calling the inner beauty charge, and their whole sort of concept is to communicate that beauty is within, right? And
mhm.
if you're not feeling beautiful inside, then the outside is sort of just a facade and doesn't really, matter. And so
Yeah.
they're wanting people to go deeper, like you said, and just be more mindful. And I also think when you're calmer and when you're happier, you want to take the time to and spend more money, and you're excited. And so so they're actually bringing them into their research facility now, because they want to do some R&D and really kind of figure out what is it that's making
Yeah,
that
that's making
happen.
this
But
difference. Yeah, that's really
yeah,
interesting. And I guess also like you mentioned COVID, but COVID also brought attention to mental health, but also to well tech. So like people like touchless wellness services. So I guess that's probably helped also like increase your client range and having also new demographics of people who are or like people or companies who are willing to invest in this well tech solution, which they can be put as you said like everywhere, like in you mentioned airport lounges, offices, hotels. So wellness is not only at the spa of the hotel. You can find also like moments where you can really like reconnect with yourself in different perspective. And yeah, schools, prisons,
that's
etc. Like, yeah, this is a amazing.
that's a great, yeah, exactly. And then the other application that we're super surprised about, not surprised, but excited about, and also like, really, wow, this is getting embraced, is performance, physical performance and recovery. And we've had an incredible application in with professional athletes,
Mm,
and also in training environments. And so we have domes with, like, we have a partnership with Under Armour,
yeah.
and they have domes in some of their research and their training labs, and with their elite athletes, and they're taking them through dome sessions before they go into training sessions. And then
Yeah.
they're also having them use the dome when they're in recovery for different
Mhm.
injuries and things, and after, post big events. And they're seeing some pretty exciting, because when you can go deep and you
Mhm.
can really get inside of yourself and really be grounded and really get clear, everything happens in the mind,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and like I'm also like a breathwork facilitator, and we have like
Oh,
a we have like a little test, like in breathwork where you do like 2 minutes of push-ups, and then you do like a quick breathing exercise, and then you do another 2 minutes of push-ups, and the number of push-ups you can do after the breathwork session is nearly like double. So it's
oh,
incredible, like this that's why I'm not surprised of the effects for professional athletes and recovery, etc. And
that's
yeah,
cool.
so I have to mention, I told you before, but I tried the Somadome at the Carrion Hotel in Miami, which is actually a great place for everything like WellTech and touchless wellness. They have
It
like,
is,
yeah, very great. And actually, I have an interview of Tammy from like the
yeah.
wellness director of the Carrion in the magazine version. Of our WellTech edition. And yeah, and I really, really loved my Somadome session. I'm doing breathwork, I'm doing meditation, energy healing, and I was so surprised to see how quickly the dome can put you in a meditative state and a really like deep relaxation state. So can you tell us a little bit more about the benefits of the product and how it works? Because it's not only it's really using the like different senses.
Yeah, definitely the goal when I sort of was thinking, what is it going to do and how will it work, and how do we, the only thing that really came to me in the dream was a very clear vision that it needed to be a special kind of private space. And to me that really is the key, because when we're okay, even if you have headphones on, or even if you're an advanced meditator, if you're in an environment where you're feeling exposed, or even if you're in a private environment like a room all by yourself, there's still sort of the elemental kind of conditions. Maybe there's a sound outside, maybe there's a breeze, maybe there's your dog that so you just don't know. What we can't control, right? Like our environments, it's really hard. But when you're inside of the Somadome, it's a controlled environment. So you can monitor the airflow, you can bring in fans, you can open and close it whenever you want. You're not trapped, so there's no fear of anything like that. But if you want to just surrender and really, really relax, you're able to. And so that was the first piece of the experience that was the most important. But then when I found the designers for it, my designers, I mean, they're really brilliant, and they really nailed the design. I mean, we spent a year and a half kind of how will it look and how will it feel. And the dome piece was really core to the design, because domes create, for several reasons. First is domes create a vortex of energy, with the universe, like shapes and sacred geometry. I mean, everything from Stonehenge to the pyramids, and when you look at all these holy structures, from mosques to synagogues to Buddhist temples to churches, every holy structure is a dome.
Yeah.
And it's because it creates a vortex with the universe, with the energy kind of fields, and of healing vortex, kind of infinity. So you're inside of this sort of space that creates a vortex of infinite energy without really knowing it or why. But the dome is a very powerful thing, and you lose your depth perception. So even it's a small space, you don't feel like it's a small space. So the environment was the first kind of key, and I think honestly the most important. And so you have to be comfortable, you have to feel safe, you have to know that you have control over your space, that you can get out if you want to, you can move around if you want to, but really just you're safe and comfortable. That was the key. And then what is it going to do? So I wanted to touch on every sense without being sensory stimulating, but to create an experience that really does something for you. Because I think one of the challenges with not just meditation, but with shutting off our minds and being able to kind of to connect to our higher self, is that we're so cluttered with so many thoughts, and all the time, everyone. So what is a technology or a way to help people shut that off without putting you through, a 10-day Vipassana, or an advanced meditation class, or even a rigorous breathwork practice, or things that require work, basically.
Yeah.
And I think the sad truth of humans, most of the time, most of us, not all the time, but most of us want things at this stage in society, in humanity as well. We expect things to be sort of done for us to some extent, or and so I thought, this needs to be something that's easy for people. And I see it as sort of a bridge in a way, because the goal of the dome is not, do this and this is your key, this is the magic answer. The goal for the dome is really to be a bridge for people, to be, an access point, to say, wow, like, what was that? People come out of the experience all the time with tears in their eyes, and or just really profound, where they're like, I don't understand what just happened to me, like, where did I go? And the answer is like, you shut off your mind for a minute, and you let your spirit, your soul, fly, and connect to the infinite. And that's where magic happens. And so, what does it do? It does color, there's color, there's light, there's sound, there's guided meditation, it's using binaural beats, which entrain our brains into different states of consciousness based on our goals. And then there's also energy healing. So, it had to address, for me, it had to address the body, the mind, and the spirit. And I think so much of where we are as a society is focused on the body. And, thankfully we're starting to open up and realize more now. We have to deal with our minds. It's not just from a mental health, clinical emergency perspective, which it is. We're in a time in humanity where we have no choice but to deal with our mental health proactively, because, the media and what's happening in the world, people have to take control of our own, well-being. But then the spirit, this ineffable, infinite kind of fabric of energy that connects every living sentient being, it's this essence of us. Like, it's what acupuncture and Reiki, it's moving that chi and that prana and that life force. And how do we open that up and access that? So we've integrated a system of energy healing into the base of the dome that first it blocks EMF. So it has two things. It's blocking electromagnetic frequencies. So it's actually it's a shielded environment. So when you're in that space for 20 minutes, your body is getting a break from all of the signals and the constant, we don't see it obviously, but it's there. And so it's creating a moment of respite. And then it also helps to move your chi and sort of unblock different meridian channels, which is the basis of acupuncture and, also Reiki. And it's just moving the energy is the key to unblocking things. Right. And then color and light is really integral. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the sound as well, like it helps like access, as you said, different state of consciousness in different parts of the brain. So yeah, it's really like acting in different at different levels. So yeah, that's amazing that you managed to put all of that as well in such a small place at the end, because it looks like a very comfy armchair with the dome coming up. So yeah, it's really nicely done.
Well, thank you. That's really nice. Thank you. Which track did you do? Do you remember?
I did love meditation.
That's a nice one. I love that one.
Yeah, very beautiful and peaceful, and really enjoyed it.
Nice. Thank you. That's great.
And if we talk about spas and like hotels, so you mentioned you're working a lot with hotels, and if we go now more into the operational side of things, like how much space does the Somadome takes, including like the like the technical structure that's needed, and in terms of operation, how do you see spas using it? Is it prior to their treatment, post treatment, just standalone, like a mix? Like how do you see your clients integrating it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really exciting because it provides a standalone treatment for people that don't want to commit, maybe the money time to where and also you have to get undressed. You have to, it's a whole thing to go to the spa. It's a couple hours at least, which is nice, but maybe sometimes you need, just a quick, give me something that can keep me going for today, or give me something that can just, I'm exhausted, or I'm feeling kind of depressed, or, I've got a really big event tonight and I want to really kind of visualize and get my head right. There's so many different purposes. So in the 20 minutes it's an easy ask. It's not, a big commitment. So in the context of wellness, and, we have domes in not just big resorts like the Carillon, but also smaller spas and a lot of biohacking spaces. And so it's such a huge movement right now to integrate, like you said, touchless wellness and, technologies for the body, like cryotherapy and saunas and different types of IV therapy, and so many different therapies, but the really body focused. So the dome is really a chance to pair it, to complete people's circuits, basically. So when you go and you want to do like a regular practice that addresses your mental health and also your spiritual, your emotional health, the dome becomes something that people can do on a regular basis, because it's not a big ask, and it can become part of your practice, part of your routine. And then in the context of higher end resorts where people go, like you did, to probably a whole spa day, and it becomes like a circuit, and it's really nice because you can do it before, and it just takes you a bit deeper, because like we were just saying, and I think we do hear a lot, and I personally feel all the time when I go to get a massage, like it takes me 20-30 minutes to just get to the place where I'm even receiving, because I just, okay, now I'm on the table, like it's, and then it's over, and then the massage is over. It's like, oh, that's
the first 30 minutes are okay. What do I need to do when I'm out of here? Oh, did I forget to do this or to do that? And so the first 30 minutes are not relaxing at all. And or 20-30 minutes. And then once as you said, like once you're really getting into it, then it's like, oh, it's already over. Okay. And then I really see the value of having tools like the Somadome prior to treatments to really make this transition, because you have the relaxation area, but as you said, it's even if it's a peaceful peaceful space, it doesn't really do much to really put you in a very calm and very in a space where you are able to fully receive your massage. So having some tools like that, and then going to your treatments, really help guests enjoy the 100% of their treatment. And I think there's so much value to have that pre or even post treatments, where you don't really want to go back to the busyness. You want to have a little transition, and as a transitional tool, I think it's very valuable as well. And also as a standalone, even for people who do meetings or conferences, having this little break where you can recharge and keeps you going for the rest of the day. It's also very
it's a great point.
powerful. Yeah.
We also have a big market actually in these events and these big conferences and spaces, like you said, where people, I mean, it's so hard to be on your feet for 12 hours and thinking, talking. And so we've done a lot of events, and we're actually going in a couple months. We're going to have several domes at TED, at their Vancouver, at their big, it's so there are lots of applications where big, conferences like that. It's exciting. Yeah.
In terms of return on investment and revenues generating by the dome, what do you see in hotels in particular?
I mean, it's pretty exciting. The business model has always been a service for us rather than a product. I mean, we've got a huge opportunity to sell domes, and we've done that, and that's what we've been doing that. But where we really want to go is to sell the sessions, to sell the use. And because the domes that we have that are revenue shares, like the Carillon and several other resorts, we say, okay, we're gonna own the dome, and you're gonna host it, and we're gonna partner and share with you our resources, marketing resources, tips to encourage use, and all of our tools and things. But basically, they host it, and it's their business. And then we share in the revenue. And it's been really incredible. Places that are motivated and they have operations in place, like the Carillon and several high-end resorts that we've been at, and even smaller businesses that we have domes that are entrepreneurial and really see this as a way to make money. It's not just a fancy chair or something. We've seen, because sessions sell between $25 to $50 depending on the market and how they're promoting it and packaging it. But just first of all, just one session a day at $25, and that's $18,000 a year. But most places are doing 3 to 5 sessions a day, so they're making pretty solid, revenue, and it's fairly passive revenue because the dome is very intuitive and easy to use, and so it's designed to be part of this touchless landscape that's emerging, especially post-COVID, in wellness. So it's a good, it is a good generator of revenue for businesses. We have a lot of businesses that are using it to make money, and their ROI is usually probably 6 months.
Yeah.
If they're motivated, it can be, obviously much less if they're, just a regular kind of, we'll just sort of do the bare minimum, and maybe it's less than a year or so.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also like a product that doesn't need heavy labor. You can have like a spa receptionist, for example, setting up the guest, or even the guests themselves setting themselves up. It doesn't require it's very simple to use. It doesn't require too much to be able to set it up.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's pretty intuitive, pretty autonomous. Some of the higher touch environments like the Carillon, like higher end, like our Four Seasons, or places where we, they like to walk their guests to the dome and help them pick a session, and maybe they offer tea after or something like that. But it doesn't need that. Most people can pick the session for themselves. Whatever you're feeling in that moment, and it changes all the time. Sometimes you want, like, you want to try the love track, or the, an emotional track, or manifest. You're really going. So other times it's just a physical, like, relax, stress reduction. You're focused more on recovery, things like that.
Great. And I think what's interesting with the dome as well is that it's really bridging the gap between ancestral healing technique. You mentioned energy eating, sacred geometry, sounds as well, sound therapy, and science, and bringing that together into one piece. So because we see, like, in general in the wellness industry, so like there's a branch that's going like very far towards science and medical, another branch that's going very deep into ancestral healing, spirituality, and you're kind of bringing both together under the Somadome product.
That's cool. I love that. Thank you so much for seeing that. My personal journey, and still my life kind of now, I've been really very deep into ancestral healing, and I've done a lot of a lot of work with a lot of the sort of techniques and things that have been passed down from indigenous cultures and from our ancestors, and I've had profound shifts in being able to heal different karmic patterns, and but I think part of the challenge with bringing a product that, or experience that is mainstream, is capable of being mainstream, in that space, it's a challenge, because it can turn a lot of people off, because you have a certain mentality, especially in the West, where we want science, we want facts, we want research, we want proof, but before we had all these things that we could measure everything, and everything was quantified, and Western medicine is really new and doesn't really take into consideration, well, maybe that person has a wound from a past life, or from an ancestor, from epigenetic kind of healing. I mean, now epigenetics is an incredibly exciting area of research and science, because we're seeing in scientific evidence that we are not just this life, just this body. It's just so much more than that. It's the wounds, the imprints, the memories of our ancestors that are imprinted into our being before we're even born, and of our cultures, and of our entire communities and things, that we're carrying those things, and it's our duty, our sort of spiritual kind of opportunity to heal in this life, and to peel those layers back. And I do think that a lot of the modern tech and a lot of the stuff that we have at our available now, with whether it's content, or just being able to create an environment like the Dome that is it's a space that speaks to people because it looks high tech, it looks modern or whatever. And so people aren't thinking ancestral healing, they're thinking, oh, that's a cool piece of tech.
Yeah.
But it's important to, and we've had just really conservative, very kind of, in a certain sense, otherwise looking for just very tangible, I'm sorry, kind of more, he agrees.
Yeah, my dog is replying to yours.
That's so, oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's funny. Oh, that's funny. But I think, oh, he really heard him.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think we really, I think we're growing. We're really evolving as a people, as a humanity is really evolving right now. It's actually a really exciting time to be alive in many ways. So, yeah.
Yeah. And do you see like more interest? Like I think that there's a growing interest on these like a lot of ancestral techniques from different parts of the world are really like resurfacing, and it was like a lot driven by Eastern ancient techniques like yoga, and then like Ayurveda, and now you see even more like Chinese medicine modalities from South America, from Native Americans, from Celtic origin, from Africa. So now really like every part of the world is kind of digging. There's this also this resort in Doha, where they brought back all the traditional Islamic medicine and like the herbs, etc., to create a program like a very with like very local techniques, modalities, etc. So now we are rediscovering that actually in every part of the world there are this ancient wisdom. It was just like buried, and now we're like digging it back.
That's so true. Yeah. I've spent the past 3 years, I was living in Mexico, as New York, and now anyway, Mexico is a really interesting, beautiful culture, and such rich, deep roots and ancestral healing. And so I've just been so blessed to be able to meet some just extraordinary shamans and go to temazcals, and and then in wellness, like you're saying, what we're seeing more mainstream is they're integrating temazcals now into these big resorts, and doing indigenous sweats and using indigenous herbs. And it's just yeah, I mean, I think our ancestors knew how to heal and how to connect, and somehow we evolved, and like science and Western medicine, and we stopped remembering the wisdom of nature.
Yeah, and I think there's also more awareness from the guests themselves. Like if we talk about hotels, like I saw like hotel developments where, when you were building the spa, the first thing you were putting was, okay, like you had your checkbox, like let's put a sauna and a steam room and like a Turkish hammam, because that's like a very profitable thing. But like guests now are like, no, like I'm in Costa Rica, I don't want to go to a Turkish hammam. I want to like a Turkish hammam, like I love it in Turkey, I don't want that in Costa Rica. I want to experience like what wellness means in Costa Rica. So like guests also like are really pushing to have more authentic wellness experiences, and not have like this like copy paste mentality, and trying to have like a one size fits all model, but really have like very local and tailored approaches.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's true. There is a really, I mean, it seems like you've really, it's great. You've really been following and observing and connecting those dots. I think you're right. It does seem like that's where wellness is going, and it should be going. It's exciting, actually. Yeah, it's cool.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And what do you think is and yeah, I could talk for hours with
Yeah.
you, but let's say this is my last question. What would you think? What do you think would be like one of the biggest in terms, because we're talking about WellTech, the biggest new thing coming in the space of wellness and technology? Like there were a lot of things for like diagnostics, for example, and like tracking tools that are very popular. Like now I see like my grandma has diabetes, and like the monitors that she's using for diabetes is now like I saw in the UK this app called Zoe, and you can like you receive like this monitor for diabetic people, and it monitors your blood glucose levels throughout the 2 weeks. They give you like special recipes to eat, so to see like how you react to different type of foods, and they're
Mm.
using that to yeah, like to help you like refine your diet based on your glucose. You mentioned
Mm.
epigenetics. There's a lot of work also around mitochondria, around how the brain works. Like, what do you think it will be like the biggest, yeah, new like well tech innovation?
Somadome. I'm just kidding. I don't. Gosh, wow. I think it's interesting. Actually, I think you're making a really good point. I think that the medical applications and really, because I think people are starting to we're starting to take our health into our own hands more and more, because we're realizing, collectively, that the system isn't necessarily concerned about our health or our well-being. Like,
Mhm.
maybe we thought they were when we were, growing up and stuff, and we thought, oh, you can trust your doctor. But now it's like, well, he just wants to give me more drugs, and what
Yeah.
is going on? And we've learned the government has incentives with Medicaid, with pharmaceuticals, and there's so many conflicts of interest that it's just it's kind of it's sad and
Mhm.
scary. And so I think the biggest transition that we're making in wellness is collectively waking up. I think
Mhm.
we're collectively waking up. I mean, I think beyond industry and really more collectively as humanity, I really think about consciousness and how we're shifting. And there are choices that every soul makes every moment of our lives. And we choose, are we going to be in a higher vibration? Are we going to choose love? Or are we going to, and it's a constant choice. It's a constant practice. And no one is not vulnerable from lower vibrations. They're very compelling. It's very attractive to live in fear, because that's where, it's safe, and it's, in a way, it's kind of, but to choose, to then that's when we can fly. That's when we can grow. That's when we can love. That's when we can manifest. And so I think when we can access that frequency and we can get a taste of it, we want more of it, and we want to stay there. And so I think, I don't know what it's going to look like, or how it's going to manifest in terms of tech, but I
Mhm.
think the more things that there are that we can do and use and integrate with in our lives that take us there, that are sort of training wheels that show us that access point of what's possible to feel, and where we really should be and want to be and can be.
Mhm.
Those are the things that are going to change, the world. I think change where we're going collectively. And I think those are different tools, different, maybe it's apps, it's
Mhm.
content, it's whatever it is that you get a little taste of that, a space. So I think, I mean, it's such an exciting time to be doing what we're doing, with the dome, because it feels like a privilege. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your wisdom, all your work also with Somadome. It's a great product, and like I'm wishing you all the best, and to have like as many Somadomes everywhere. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Celine. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
interest in sharing and learning more. Thank you.
Thank you.